Welcome everyone to Stone Soup Poetry. This is an exciting 2021, or at least a very interesting 2021. Happy Impeachment Groundhog Day, or Groundhog Impeachment Day. I don't want to insinuate that the groundhog got impeached. He didn't. He's been sleeping his lazy ass. He didn't do nothing. Now the guy who got impeached, he worked hard for this. So he got what he deserved. He was a real go getter for this one. He was not a lame duck by any means necessary. So that's all the politics I'm going to say for right now. You guys can say what you like, but we have John Wesick for our feature tonight. Give an obligatory round of applause, hand emojis, what have you. John has been one of the new friends to Stone Soup since we started our online venture back in May of 2020, about 13 years ago. Um, the pandemic goes on. Stone Soup somehow perseveres. We should have been past our 50th anniversary so far, going to the 75th, but for some reason time doesn't move that way, even though it totally absolutely does. We are in a we are we're in a good spot tonight. We got a great open mic. I hope more people are going to join us. I miss a lot of people who have not been able to reach us in recent weeks. Eric Tate, if you're listening, we want you back. Hopefully Philip Curtis, aka Midnight, will join us again. John is just another example of the great online community that has fostered since Stone Soup went the route of social distancing. And we haven't looked back. And I think even when we do get back to a live performance, I'm going to keep this going so I can not lose touch with a lot of you people. So again, thank you guys for coming on. And let's get straight to the open mic and let's welcome up our hang gliding enthusiast. I would guess from his backdrop, Mr. Bill hang gliding guy Lewis. That's gonna be your nickname from now on, Bill. That's a thing for at least this week.
Well, hello, my wonderful and glorious fellow poets. It is indeed a pleasure and honor to be here. Alas, I still cannot figure out how to light myself in such a fashion to be attractive. I look like I'm either red or dead, and I want to be somewhere in, well, alas, life is tough. As many of you know, I have been teaching over Zoom for via a group called outschool.com. And so I've got a bunch of students I'm teaching about history and the background and computer science. And I am embarrassed to say that I've been making a ton of money. I am well, not how many pennies? In any case, it came to me that my friend who does regular performances said that she was doing a year-long set of performances and she offered me a free ticket and I could look her right in the eye and said, I don't need a free ticket. I would like a year-long pass. Just like that, I didn't have to think if I had money or whether it would balance out or anything like that. I could just walk up and say, yes, I can afford to buy the whole thing right here and right now. And so I'm embarrassed that I'm so rich, but I want something. I have always wanted an epic poem. And I'm no good at epic poems, so I'm not going to do an epic poem. But if you, my friendly stone supers, if you would figure out a way to put together an epic poem extolling the people who have learned to thrive during COVID, I want a glorious poem. I have so much money, I want to pay you $1,000. Some set of you get together. I don't care how you do it. There's no sense in me having all this extra money sitting in my bank account. Figure out a way, get together, and I will throw gold coins at you. So now, as myself, my own endeavor is one of my favorite pieces. As a young man, I worked for Walt Disney. I was at Disneyland. I got to work in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I was doing dishes in the back of the Blue Lagoon restaurant. But who cares? It was the Pirates of the Caribbean. So I am not going to lose that connection or choice. And here we go. I hope you're ready. Oh, I don't give a damn if you're ready. La 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 la. I have listened to this so many times, and yet. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. We pillage, we plunder, we rifle and loot. Drink up, me heart is yo ho. We kidnap and ravage and don't give a hoot. Drink up, me heart is yo ho. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. We extort, we pilfer, we flute and sack. Drink up, me heart is yo ho. Maraud and embezzle and even hijack. Drink up, me heart is yo ho. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. We kindle and char, igniting like. Drink up, me heart is yo ho. We burn up the city, we're really a fright. Drink up, me heart is yo ho. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. We're rascals, scoundrels, villains, and knaves. Drink up, me heart is yo ho. We're devils and black sheep and really bad eggs. Drink up, me heart is yo ho. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. We're beggars and flighters and ne'er-well-do cads. Drink up, me heart is yo ho. But we're loved by our mommies and dads. Drink up, me hearters, yo ho.
Yo ho, indeed. Thank you. I like the light you have now, Bill. Don't worry about it. The last person to try and light themselves up with passion to look better was Michael Jackson. He did that for a Pepsi commercial. Look where that got him. I can't see the through line to that joke either. Anyway, let us, Mr. Tate, I was just talking about you.
What about me?
Just we haven't seen you for a bit. Good to have you
I
on.
know. I don't think I'm going to be able to read tonight either.
Oh, think of a haiku. You got 20 minutes. Keep both hands on the wheel or have your wife drive for you. We're going to go to the next person on the open mic so Eric can hear as much as he can. Let's go to Mr. Actually, he requested use of share screen. So I'm going to give it to him right now. Permission to do so. Let's welcome up Mr. D. Allen.
Good evening, folks. Allow me to introduce myself to y'all properly. I'm D. Allen from Oakland, California. This is my first time here at
Welcome.
Stone Soup. Thank you. And I'm going to do two pieces for y'all tonight. And before I do that, I'm going to see if I can activate the share screen feature on my computer. And both of these poems happen to come from my new book, Eloi Onichi, Poems, 2013 to 2018. The book is separated into 3 different sections. I'm only going to be reading a piece each from 2 of those sections. The first poem is from pages 10 and 11 in the book from section 1, entitled Harm to Nature. The book is for me. The words on screen is for y'all. This is called Conundrum. As a twiggy little boy of 9, I was so curious about the bumblebees hovering over blood red roses, flesh pink roses, bushes filled with pale yellow honeysuckles that grew in my grandmother's yard. So curious when I reached out to touch one. Ah! That bumblebee stung me with its needle-like tail, leaving behind a mark, swollen red, painful, on the caramel brown of my arm. Never touched another one since. There were so many bumblebees back then, practically in swarms. Every spring, pollination time. Now I'm older, a man of 47, 52 now. Taller, darker skin, closer to chocolate than caramel. Still twiggy though? Another spring has arrived and something's missing from the big ecological picture. Absence leaves behind a mark, a conundrum. Where have all the bumblebees gone? I hear different styles of music, but no distinctive droning buzz fills my ears. I see all manners of insects fly in the air, but no visible sign of the little pollinators paying any visits to East Oakland's roses. Extinction leaves behind a mark, a conundrum. Who will produce honey when the bumblebees are gone? And that first poem was called Conundrum, my personal rumination on the slow disappearance of bees from the world in the past 6 years. When I first wrote this poem in 2015, I would see a dozen bees at most. And now it is the year 2021. We're still in the grips of the coronavirus pandemic, and I would see one bee or none. Blame that on a funny little thing called global warming or Roundup weed killer. And the next poem I'm about to do, let me see if I can pull it up for a moment. And I'm going to end this on a more positive tip. And this is from the third section of the book entitled Travels Through Nature. And those are poems based on green places that I've visited. From pages 44 and 45 in the book, this is called Guardians. They stand watch over everything precious that thrived in moist shadows and passed beneath them. Coastal redwoods, towering, supremely thick, rust-colored specimens of wood with 12-inch bark, giant elders, guardians of groves, at first glance intimidating looking, yet inviting. Maintained a steady vigil 1,000 years or less. Some humans rightfully saw fit to preserve these ancient watchers of life. When they wandered through one of the groves, William and Elizabeth Kent witnessed still, unspoiled, botanical beauty, vowed its protection from the logger saw's ripping touch, and gave it John Muir's name. Verdant patches of three-leaf clovers, sprawling coils of fern, tall, slender Douglas firs, trying hard to imitate their mightier redwood cousins. Hungry squirrels scampered a dirt floor on a foraging trip. A craving for acorns, fallen on our branch, needs sating. Lean little trickle of water running down an extensive ditch toward Mount Tamalpais Way. Sorry masquerade as a full rushing creek. The steady march of hikers, boots and sneakers treading new grooves into overworn trails, are offered protection and shade by the guardians in return.
Thank you very much, sir.
And that last poem was called Guardians, my ode to Muir Woods, one of Northern California's green areas, which happens to be home of one of the tallest, thickest, colossal trees in my entire home state, the coastal redwoods. And the tree that illustrates the cover of this here book happens to be one of those coastal redwoods that have sat in the same place for thousands of years, bigger than anything that I've ever seen in any green area in my life. If you've never been to Muir Woods, pack up the station wagon or the SUV, whichever vehicle you use, pack it up with your lover, your friend, your favorite family member, or that annoying ass neighbor next door to y'all. Pack up the entire vehicle and drive out to Mill Valley, California, and see these gigantic coastal redwoods for yourself. And both poems I did came out of this new book, Eloise Onichi, now available from Conviction to Change Publishing. From this computer mic to yo ears, I'm D. Allen. Thanks for listening. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, Dee. And we're going to go now back to gallery view. As I mentioned, introduce the next person on our open mic is one of our regulars, both in live settings and online. It's great to have him back. Let's welcome up Mr. David Miller.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening. So this poem is made up entirely of phrases and sentences transcribed kind of by chance from my local NPR station last week. So saying last week will set the scene for you. Titled Numerous Images of Persons of Interest. We are going to spend the rest of the hour talking about our mental health. A number of Democrats have actually done this in the past. They've been pushed back pretty far away. Fewer than 5 million of them have been put into people's arms. We can all admit to being a little distracted this week. We really need to get ourselves under control here. He is now under mental health and medical evaluation. No one was hurt. That didn't matter to them. I'm inside my office. I do feel safe. They were like, time to go, and they moved us to a separate location. Almost half the country believes them because they believe in him. At the same time, there's this seemingly effortless sparkle. Basically, what do you make of this? We've invited you to play a game we call Name That Tuna. It's tough to make sense of the rampage if you're looking to buy a new handbag, some cognac, or lipstick. We condemn the violence that took place here in the strongest possible terms. Censure is something that his $2 million donor has raised. The FBI takes a dim view of threats against citizens in Northwest Arkansas. Here's what we got, folks. Here's what we've got. There's three things that people like myself feel now. As of yesterday, 43 more people have died. They didn't know because they didn't want to know. You don't really care about whether they're telling the truth. We've concocted a game for you. Would you like to play a game? You may still have COVID and you may still be infectious. It's severely damaged the reputation of the institution. Some 3 million people have already cast ballots. Even though Christmas has now come and gone, they say they're not expecting violence. Here's what we've got, folks. I believe that we never stopped fighting the first one. Either that or the fixation with it has gone away and you turn the radio on and you've forgotten about it. Thank you.
Oh, every time I do a found poem, David Miller comes up with one of his, I immediately get jealous again and want to do another one. Thanks for keeping me going, sir. Thank you, David. Now up next, one of our, I believe another newcomer to the open mic. Let's welcome up. I hope he's still here. Christopher R. Sorry, Christopher. I actually wrote him down as I wrote his last name as the letter R. Worst typo ever. Christopher R.
Arr! Hey, matey. Hi.
Christopher R. So sorry.
Greetings from San Diego, the deep south of the West. Okay, well, I'm going to read a couple selections from my recent book called Intellectual Suicide, Poetry to Die For. This one's entitled Apropoetry. Words fail all descriptions of the poetry of life. The turning smile, the secret glance have no comparisons in transcribed thoughts as they trace wind shadows across the face of ages. We watch the ships come and go. There is no recounting for this poetry of life. You have to be here and feel the scorching sun within your heart, the rocking earth within your soul. Build your towers to heaven than talk to God straight across. No one else can write your poem, nor live each stanza as you do. This is your pilgrimage through moment and perception, crying out for meaning and impatiently making up your own. Thank you. And this one's entitled, I Only Came for the Poetry. I only came for the poetry to pay homage to the symmetry, naturalistically absurd. I ain't here for no games, only to get off on the words while slapping some skin and dropping the names to the primal rhythms of heavy breath, undressing the night of diaphanous day, passions reborn from a climax like death, laid out and stiff in sweet metered grooves, sticky wet stanzas, squirt, gush, and seep, in lock lyrical rapture from floor to the roofs. Metaphors drip, throb strophic and deep. As we float back to our senses, stagger up off roof walls and floor, straighten our ties and our tenses, and without so much as a haiku, head for the door. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. R.
Arr.
We're actually getting a pirate motif tonight early. So let us go to the next person on the open mic. We're going back to home base Boston, and she is with us tonight alongside James Van Lloyd. Let's bring Jan Rowe up to the virtual podium. Hey,
These are
Jan.
just some tidbits, rough draft.
Okay.
Mary Washington was going to give a 22-year-old slave away as a wedding present in Philadelphia, but he's escaped, as did Washington's cook. Hercules escaped. Now, James Madison's slave, helped keep the White House from being burned by the Brits in 1814. And he was supposed to be freed upon James Madison's death, but Dolly reneged. And he helped Dolly when she fell on hard times, took care of her and took her food. Now that was when the Brits were trying to burn a place down. Now with this,
They did burn it down.
they did burn it down, but now with this attack,
The White House too.
there was a woman there who was last Wednesday, and she was near hysteria. And I've been looking for the exact quote, but I can't find it. The gist of it is, she said, the police are shooting the protesters, or the police are shooting the patriots. They're supposed to shoot BLM. And her spouse said, don't worry, honey. We've shown them what we're all about. So that's a piece I'm working on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Let's bring us now to another one of our new members of the extended online family, Mr. John Stickney, who I might add has been keeping busy in a number of publications around the web, including Oddball in more recent weeks, and glad to have his work. Let's welcome up John.
Thank you, Chad, for thank the Oddball community for accepting my poetry. I really appreciate it. I apologies to Gil Scott Heron, but the Aryan Nation revolution will be televised. Will not be able to stay masked, my white brother. You'll not be able to lose yourself on social media and skip out for beer during commercials, because you are the star of this show and there are no commercials worth skipping out for. The Aryan Nation Revolution will be televised. The Aryan Nation Revolution will be televised. This revolution will be brought to you by Grits and Mayonnaise, by Reverse Mortgages and the My Pillow Guy and Camouflage Gear. The revolution will show you pictures of Trump blowing a bugle and leading a charge while flanked by Rudy, Don Jr., and Ivanka. The charge of the White Brigade. Charge, leading the masses to invest in gold mine stocks from an off-island sanctuary. The Aryan Revolution, the Aryan Nation Revolution will be televised. There will be no picture of police shooting down your white brothers on instant replay. There will be no pictures of police shooting rubber bullets into the mob because police are on your side. There will be no pictures of Ted Cruz shaving or Josh Harley waving his fist. There'll be no slow motion wrestling moves by Jim Jordan while wearing a sports coat. He's been saving for just such a proper seditious occasion because white people will be in the street looking for a whiter day and placing pipe bombs around the grounds. The Aryan Nation Revolution will be televised. The Aryan Nation Revolution will not be right back because it has not and never will ever leave. The Aryan Nation Revolution is a white tornado of translucent flex cops. The Aryan Revolution is white lightning and Mountain Dew. You will not have to worry about a Speaker of the House. The extra magazine of bullets will go better with your Second Amendment ways. The revolution will go better with tear gas and sidearms and anti-Semitism spread about all through the Capitol. While some blue lives mattering less than others and bear spray and Confederate flags waving. The Aryan Nation Revolution will not fight germs that cause bad breath because there is no bad breath by white Americans. Will not give you a closer shave or save you money on your insurance. The Aryan Nation Revolution will put you in the driver's seat and put the Molotov cocktails in the back. The Aryan Nation Revolution will be brought to you by Marine Rope and Supply for all your noose and gallow needs. The Aryan Nation Revolution will be televised, will be televised, will be televised. The Aryan Nation Revolution will be no rerun, my white brothers. This revolution will be live. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I knew there was a reason you kept on appearing in Oddball, amongst other places. Let's welcome the first of our two phone guests. Looks like Martha Boss couldn't join us today, but we are joined by two of our phone regulars, including this first person up, Miss Carol Weston, who, as I'm helping her unmute now, she has been with us since the start. She actually came into this COVID hell of a year with an injury. So she was actually in a medical facility getting rehab and recovering, and she never missed a call, never missed a gathering, still has not. And it's my dream that when we do have our 50th anniversary in May, Stone Soup can celebrate it with her being the feature, just as she was the very first feature I ever picked for an anniversary celebration when I did the 35th. Hoping we're all around to see that happen, hoping we can be open. Like Carol Weston's going to outlive me. That's what I want to say. Hopefully when we're around, no, Carol Weston's going to outlive me. I just hope that we are we're actually able to meet each other without 20 Lone Ranger lookalikes and 12 feet apart from each other. But enough about that. Let me show you why I wax poetic about her, the woman who I call Our Lady Queen of Stone Soup, Miss Carol Weston. And yes, Carol, I know you're going to say that Joanna Nealing is the Queen of Stone Soup. I call her the First Lady. You're Our Lady Queen.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is to Louise Baxter, who swam with me for 28 years on New Year's at Earl Street. Let me see. 300 of us celebrated the new year with reverence to the risen sun Our toes ached in the snow above the sand. We plunged into the paralyzing salt waves. One year, somehow, we missed the massive polar bear swim and swam alone. The tide had turned to mud, and so did we. Thank you.
Hey, Carol, thank you.
Well done, Carol.
Thank you very much, Carol. And the next person I have for us is, what is that? I actually misplaced the list. How can that happen? We'll get to the second phone person later, but for now we're going to bring up someone who must be really happy to be a New Yorker, or a Democrat New Yorker, as they're not just she's not just celebrating the impeachment Groundhog Day, but also the fact that businesses dropped Trump's New York facility. Trump's New York-based business basically got dropped like a stone tied to another stone, tied to a brick, tied to a rocket, pointed downward into the ocean. I can tell you're thrilled, and you actually, I joke and say, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know what happened there, but I don't know. I joke about Trump earning what he got, working hard, but you truly did, in a serious matter, work very hard for the results that we've seen. So we thank you for being at the polls and working the polls and working everything. And we thank you for your time on the mic, Patricia Kerrigan.
Thank you. Thank you. Yay. Happy Groundhog Day. Happy impeachment. Yay. Okay, let's go Senate. Okay, this was published in the Jerry Jazz Musician recently. A capital offense. A quid pro quo threw knives into the government's heart. A coup to reinstate an orange plague almost happened. Combustion fueled by messianic idiocy used privilege to smash windows and attempt abduction of evidence for a nation's choice. But threats will not cease. Shutting down a malevolent man's Facebook or Twitter accounts will not end the war used as landfill to hide the truth for more than 4 years. A new Messiah will rise, carrying a mob's banner that fell on the Capitol steps. We forget that this stolen nation was born from unrest, greed, and phobias. We are not safe when Black lives don't matter, when ICE puts shackles on brown wrists, when one person's God is the only God, when women's uteruses are no longer theirs, when people can't express their love for another, when age becomes a negative number, when the list for injustice keeps getting longer. The earth is dying as we speak. Shit happened in Europe. It can also happen here. Impeach the motherfucker.
You say that appeared in Jerry Jazz Musician, but that was punk. But wow, we have more and more people coming on to the open mic, which always thrills me. We got a Hollywood Squares times Brady Bunch thing going on the gallery view, so that makes me very happy. Just want to acknowledge people who have come on. Ed Galt, hello. Eric Tate, I see you're still on. If you have I hope you have a haiku bottled up waiting to come out. Rusty, if you're interested in being part of the open mic, just type below into the chat and I will include you. For now, we're going to go to the last person who we have for joining us by phone. I appreciate our low-tech brethren and sisters being able to join us this way. Hopefully Martha Boss will join us very, very soon. And hopefully I'll have an announcement for who the next feature is. And I'm really excited for who's going to be the first feature, hypothetically, in what is equally hypothetically a post-Trump America on the night of January 20th. But more on that later. Let's welcome up another one of our stalwart regulars, Nancy Dodson.
A peace prayer. A church bell gives hope blessedness and rings with no anger. A period of growth favoring peace, calm, and wise judgment should follow. Discipline follows because with the uprooting of the Capitol, the murder of 5 people, the mob rule incited by the president must never happen again. The leaders should stop these uprisings. The group that has a devil's way of thinking with no regard for the poor and the disturbance of COVID-19 shows us God's wrath is upon us and the innocent suffer along with the good. Pray, pray, pray for no more rioting war, and followed by peace, peace, peace.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Nancy bowed out last week. She was watching the news all last week that night. Can you tell? Nice, very, very lovely words, Nancy. Thank you so much. And up next, it's time to bring on our musical interlude with the man I like to call the pulse of Stone Soup and really the pulse of Boston. He's done it all. He's backed up every poet he could. He does everything from do backup for poetry venues all around the city to provide music for the Boston's Ladies of Wicked Wrestling. Yes, that is a thing, and I am amazed I live in a world where I can say a sentence like that and have it be true. The man who will hopefully fulfill my dream, my unspoken dream to be a wrestling heel manager and not have to work for Vince McMahon to do it. Let's welcome up Ethan Mackler.
Thank you, Chad. Yes, it's the Boston League of Wicked Wrestlers. That's a lot of people get that wrong.
Probably because of Glow. My bad.
Yes. All right. This is The Tide Rises, The Tide Falls by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, 1807 to 1882. The tide rises, the tide falls. The twilight darkens, the curlew calls. Along the sea sands damp and brown, the traveler hastens towards the town. And the tide rises, and the tide falls. Darkness settles on roofs and walls, but the sea in darkness calls. The little waves with their soft white hands efface the footprints in the sand. And the tide rises, and the tide falls. The morning breaks, the steeds in their stalls stamp and neigh as the hostler calls. The day returns, but nevermore returns traveler to the shore. And the tide rises, and the tide falls. Back to you, Chad.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mackler. Looks like Eric Tate is that much closer to be putting it on the open mic list. He'll be home in 10 minutes. So let's keep the open mic going. And let's see, I think she was on the Stone Soup Poetry open mic before, but I have a feeling since it's been so long since the last time I saw her, even though I see her all the time and I appreciate her compliments on my posts and her likes and what have you, I am gonna repeat a first-time tradition of messing up this person's name. I just know I am. But this is what happens sometimes. So let's welcome up Linda Waltka.
Hello. Thank you for the nice introduction.
How far off was
Yeah.
I?
Oh, that's okay. Waldika.
Waldika. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It wasn't like Waladika. So okay.
I can tell you've been called that at the DMV.
Now my brother calls me that just to pick on me.
Ah.
Okay, so there's no title to this poem except these two dates. And it is like a rambling rant, as many of us have already read. January 6th, 2021, January 13th, 2021. Strident steps forward, always attacked. Impulse, evil became a scourge. Terrorism. Is there a doubt that this menace can permeate permanently? Leash tsunamis, rogue storms on haters, never to be civilized, humanized, villainy, now history, unleash blame. The catastrophic finger touched a keypad, unleashing his demon seeds. Algorithms spew results of hashtag renderings, a reconnaissance gone viral like a maniacal Leviathan treachery, hordes, devastating America's capital. Democrats cloistered with pure intentions, and 10 Republicans vote their conscience for impeachment. That's it.
Thank you very much, Linda.
Thank you.
Waldika. Linda Waldika. I'll remember this next time. Unless I don't. Anyway.
That's okay.
That's just the way it is. Up next. I brought up Oddball Magazine before. I think a good chunk of people here have submitted or been published in the last few months. We've been keeping very busy. This next person is not just a writer for Oddball. He's also even more importantly, the photographer, without which a lot of our posts would not have that flair, that pizzazz, that je ne sais quoi, that joie de vivre, that s'il vous plaît, that I'm going to stop now. And let's go now to the man who likes to call himself, mostly because it's his name, Mr. Ed Galt. Who might be at a bathroom break. I may pick the worst time to do this, but okay, all right. And in his absence will be, we'll have the debut. We'll go back to Ed, don't worry. So we'll go to the next person on the open mic. We'll back up later. Let's go to someone who's brand new to us and actually just joined our Stone Soup Facebook page a few moments, about a half hour ago. And the Stone Soup Facebook the Stone Soup Facebook group is very easy to find on Facebook, very easy to join. We hope, if you haven't yet, we hope you do so, and you'll keep abreast on many things going on, new publications, and let's while you're getting prepped, Ed, we'll have Rusty go next, and then since I just did the long-winded intro, let's welcome up Rusty Rose.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. I'm a guest of John Wesick, and tonight I'm going to read a poem called Moondog Viking. For those of you who do not know, Moondog was a fixture in Greenwich Village, and I was a friend of his. He used to stand on Bleecker, and if he wasn't on Bleecker, he was uptown at 50-something Street. So I'm going to, he used to spout poetry. He was also a musician. And so I'm going to read it in the same tradition as Moondog would. This is Moondog Viking. All is loneliness before me, loneliness before me, loneliness. In his ceremonial horn helmet, claiming the corner of 6th and Bleecker, this shape in a drape erupts verse after poetic verse, eyes drifting, he is on fire on this sultry beat West Village summer day. An onlookers crowd as pearls of profound poetry pour from his chafed lips. They drench his knee-length fur coat, off the cob verses, puddles of spoken word, lemony metered drops drip around his braided straw sandals, pull the cement walk. Blind, crazy, cool cat Viking poet, dibs on his street is well known. He is a fixture for decades, unaware of an ever-changing landscape, gentrification, Squaresville of a hep 50s and 60s gone by. He is as splendid as antediluvian architecture. This far-out poet is a present stuck in time. Affectionately, I greet him as Moondog. Viking seems too warlike for this patchouli-scented poetry giant who stands amongst the bluster of change in black shades, who cannot see or cares to. He only wishes for cats and chicks to keep him company on the sidewalk of a time that has been stilled in rhythmic strophe, well-worn stanzas, peppery vignettes, bouquets of fragrant sonnets, words and phrases tuned into peace and love, reflecting an eternity of poetry and a grooving, aging life. All is loneliness before me, loneliness. Thank you. That's for Moondog.
Thank you very much. Do that more often. You got a couple people on waxing nostalgic. Ethan Mackler said that Bill Barnum, Billy, aka Billy Barnum, you know who he is? Yes, he actually knew the Moondog, and
I asked Billy once about him, and he's like, "Oh yes, I knew Moondog." He said he was blind, I believe.
Yes, that's what I said. He was blind, and I was about 17 years old at the time. And boy, I'd pull up the curb and listen to him all the time. And he knew me. I don't know how he knew I was there or who you were, but he just called you by name. And I learned a lot from him. I could, oh boy, sit there day and night. And then he died a few years ago, I think in Germany or somewhere. I found out later on he was a musician, but I still have these that he had given me and a flute.
There's some footage of him online, or at least there was. I remember a few years ago looking him up, and some silent, I think it was silent movie footage of him performing on the street.
Oh, I'm going to have to look for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. And thank you again, Ruby. We are ready to move on to the next person. Or back to the last person who is now the next person. Does that make sense? As I said before, he's not only been a writer, contributor to Oddball magazine, he's also one of the photographers without which the posts of poets would not have that certain je ne sais quoi, that certain joie de vivre, that certain savoir faire, that certain parlez-vous. Ed Galt, everyone. Ed Galt.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm unmuted now. Yep, I am. Okay, good. Yes, I've always kind of considered my photography a kind of poetry. I am in the tradition of Joseph Sudak, who was called the Poet of Prague. He was a master photographer in Prague and did a lot of his photography in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and really beautifully expressed himself. My poem tonight is on photography. It's called Photo Story. A photo of two children falling past window panes. There are no fire escapes. That's all I know. Nothing of what happens next, of how far down the pavement is, or if the fire was an accident, children playing with matches, or committed by an arsonist. The photo was once seen by thousands of people in the morning paper as part of a news story, but the book I'm looking at has only the photo of the two children. Someday I'll look up the story. Today, I'll let the photo tell me what it can. And so that was the story of it. It did turn out to be an arsonist, I later looked it up. It was an arsonist. The two children, I think, did survive, but it's anyway. I wanted to tell you too that I just had a number of my photos accepted for a Spectrum 26 by Don Kingfish Campbell. So I'm very happy about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Chad.
Oh, pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank you again. And I believe Eric Tate, aka Kilroy, might be ready with a poem now. There he
Hang on.
is.
Hey, hang on a second. I'm almost ready here.
Hi, Crystal.
Hey, how's it going, Chad?
You're doing good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good to see you.
How's the new job doing?
Oh, great. Yeah.
You got a poem this week?
Hmm?
You got a poem this week, Crystal?
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's just Eric. It's just Eric this week.
All right, next week then. But let's not dawdle. Let's welcome up Eric Tate, one of the earliest Stone Soup features for the online circuit that started back in last May. We're glad he's back tonight. Eric, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I've been doing a lot of poems lately about for a collection about mom's experience in the nursing home, but just trying to give her a voice through these poems. She recently contracted COVID, and she recovered, so she's doing well now. Evenings in the nursing home. The tragedy of afternoons is food cravings are useless, as are longings for any past existence associated therewith. By now, she knows she's not going anywhere, has given up hope of being rescued. As the sun goes down on another day, foot traffic slows, satisfying white noise jumble of nurses' aides' voices from the hall disperses into tinnitus, and warm ultraviolet light has gradually given way to anemic fluorescence again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. And we're getting near to the end of the open mic. Before we go to the to our ultimate closer, I'll be the penultimate. CC Oshagar and a couple others requested I still read the Stone Soup Crouton poems that I do from the prior week. And I know might have skipped last week because there was stuff going on, but I definitely want to do that, try and honor that request because people were really being nice about it. Let's see. For those who don't know, Stone Soup Croutons is a series of poems I do once a week based on the Stone Soup open mic. So if you see me looking down, I'm not just listening, though I am doing that. I'm also writing down people's various lines, catchphrases, even a single image in the hopes that I can get a kernel of this and turn it into something interesting, which more often than not I do. At the very least, it's different, and tonight's gonna be really different. I got a nice flow. Oh, I see Tony B. We'll get her on after I do this, but let me let me get started because I just got this up. This one was written last week for Minion Aerial Kings feature. And this one's called Incognito War Journal. Hitler has bits of children in his mustache. You mock this. Preserve yourself in satire. Hope it will keep you flame retardant. God is driving, but this devil steers from the back seat. He convinces the three kings they should curio shop for monkey's paws. This just in, any young voting machine without a loyalty oath or a national anthem for its screensaver will now be under suspicion. Bosses bob heads to private fighting songs. They send you home with blessings and you wince. The masters are pleased. Ride home on the horse with the most of you still tied to it. Ride to the place that contains the most of you left. Home in this four-horse spread country, backstory between torn bits. While you sleep, goddess dreams of creating own suffrage. Jarred brain dreams of saving pieces of your left behind furniture before moving forward. Beach turtled tank, keeping self intact. Watch your way through lightning storms like a war correspondent. Wear your mask as you did before the fallout, like a soldier. Swear you will one day meet the dawn on your own terms in a time zone of your choosing. Geography as 3 o'clock high. Thank you. I was about to introduce the last person on the open mic, but even though she says her audio is nuts, but Tony, do you want to give it a shot regardless? Just see what happens. I can just unmute you and see if we can do a check 1 and 2. All right, I understand. If you want to come back and do an encore, do something. No good. Okay, so we will have our last person in the open mic come on, and this one is also an oddball stalwart. He is the writer of the column It's All One Thing, which publishes every Thursday morning without fail at 11 o'clock. And it combines poetry, song, performance, Boston history, American history, world history, spans the gamut. In a perfect world, it'd be a political column in any paper. Let's welcome up Mr. James Van Loy.
Thanks, Chad. So I got a little piece here. It's called Kleine Houtenhoeft. Kleine Houtenhoeft, which will be explained. They always said my Dutch grandmother had a name for me, but I could not remember the word since my father, who understood Dutch Netherlands tall, said he could not speak it, but said it meant little wooden head. So that almost 7 decades later, I take up Dutch so I can translate my great-grandfather's cousin's autobiography of growing up in Harlem at the Weeshuis, the municipal orphanage, first his mother, then his father dying when he was only 5, going on 6, almost a baby. With 2 older sisters, his book opens with him in tow of the middle sister, herself just 11, dragging him along with money in her little purse, pennies, cents from their oldest sister, working already in teen years, so little Jacobus Japaki. My same name, James, in Netherlands, tall, that little orphan guy could buy candy for Christmas, celebrated in early December, before my grandparents had even been born, much less immigrated. My grandmother, whose voice is speaking Netherlands tall, I still remember those soft muttering tones. Oh, how I loved her when they tried to take me to my twin uncle's place. So I cried and cried until they brought me back to her. And I get tears in my eyes thinking about it. Kleine Houtenhoeft, who now cries so much in pandemic time of mass death, all masks stripped away, decade-long racist acting out, half century of economic exploitation, disaster, cannibal capitalism, neoliberal juggernaut imperialism, econometric enclosure pincher accent, naked skimming every revenue stream. And there I am, little wooden head me, back with my grandmother's world when she came over to Braddock, PA. And my great uncle got my grandfather, Johannes Cornelius, a job at Westinghouse, the air brake factory. And it was a new century. And Nini, my grandmother, had my twin uncles, Hank and Bill, just in time for the bucket shop panic of 1907. I guess they could say my uncles were anchor babies. And I have this little song here. And it has the title, Delictes van de Skelde, the lights of the scolding. Delictes van de Skelde. De tides that are up and we waren weer thuis. Het duurt nog maar enkele weken. En paar keer op wachten, dan kom ik naar huis. Dan zullen wel ouders spreken. Dus dit is de laatste brief dat je schrijft. Kijk Ivans naar goed in de krant. Dan weet je precies wat ik ben en ik wie. Voordat ik weer terugkom into land. Zie ik de lichtjes van de Schelde. Dan gaat mijn hart wat sneller slaan. Ik weet dat jij op mij zal wachten. En dat je aan de kei zal zijn. Zie je de lichtjes van de Schelde. Is dat ik in je ogen kijk. Die zo veel liefst vertellen, dan ben ik al een prins zo rijk. Die zo veel liefst vertellen, dan ben ik als een prins zo rijk.
Thank you very much, James. Wow, it's been a great open mic. I'm glad we're starting the year with such strong open mics and such strong performers, not the least of which is up in just a couple of moments. Just give me a moment while I grab his boilerplate bio, because I want the people who are watching live or watching tomorrow via YouTube channel to know who this is. And anyone who's been looking even casually at Stone Soup's open mic, or just even looking casually at the YouTube channel, will know who this is, as he's been one of the regulars since Stone Soup started this new life in the internet. And his name is John Wesick. John Wesick, according to his very reliable boilerplate, is a regular editor of the San Diego Poetry Annual. He's published hundreds of poems and stories in journals such as the Atlanta Review, Berkeley Fiction Review, Metal Scratches, Pearl, Swift Stream, Space and Time, Tales of the Talisman, and many, many more. He's had stories. The editors of Not Magazine nominated his stories, The Visitor and A Story for the Rest of Us, for pushcart prizes. He's also, his poem Meditation Instruction won the editor's choice in 2016 for the Spirit First contest. Another poem, Bread and Circuses, won second place in the 2007 African American Writers and Artists contest. Richard Feynman's Commute shared third place. Another poem shared third place in the 2017 Rising Awards short poem category. And he is the author of the poetry collections Worlds of Power, Dances of Freedom, and A Foreigner, Wherever I Go, as well as writing several novels and short story collections. His most recent book is The Enigma Brokers, which is available on Kindle. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he find the time to be here with us? I don't know, but I am glad he is here with us. So I implore you to keep your phones on mute after you put your hands together. Let's say 30, 40 times for the much awaited feature of Mr. John Wesick.
Thanks, Chad. Thanks, everybody. You know, it really has been a great open mic, and you know, one of the things I like best is bringing people together who don't really know each other. And so my friends from the West Coast get to meet my friends from the East Coast, and Rusty showed up too, and so that's just been a real thrill. Okay, this is called Mars Needs Actresses. There again, on an old movie on late night TV, those familiar blue eyes and spattering of freckles across her nose. Where did Ellen Burstyn go? Did Rosanna Arquette vanish from her Beverly Hills home, leaving Crotan carved on a tree trunk? After starring in all those D.H. Lawrence adaptations, did Glenda Jackson jump in a time machine and travel to Mexico with Ambrose Bierce, or simply join Neil Cassidy for a walk in the desert? I miss Deborah Winger's funny nose and crooked eyes, as well as Margot Kidder, Molly Ringwald, Penelope Ann Miller, and Adrienne Barbeau. Maybe they're cruising the Bermuda Triangle on the Mary Celeste, or sunning on a tropical beach with Jimmy Hoffa. Maybe they took part in a secret government project at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, or hijacked a plane and parachuted over Washington State with the ransom. When discussing why aging actresses disappear, the simplest explanation is best. UFOs, alien abductions, Mars needs actresses. Okay, so I have my buddy the Wombat in back of me there, and so this is Ode to a Wombat. Friendly-faced ambassador, little smiling bear, button eyes, tennis ball nose, clumsy civil engineer, too distracted by Chaco Tim Tam dreams to shore up collapsing burrows, always emerging from cave-ins, disheveled, dusty, puzzled. Unconcerned that cousin koala won the popularity vote, Wombat takes life as it comes, munching grass, rolling in dust, turning on her back, stubby legs bent to nap in the early morning sun. And you know, I wasn't going to read this one, but I may still not be able to read this one because, oh, here it goes. Okay, so, you know, we went to Chile, to Santiago, and we're eating at this outdoor cafe. And this homeless guy just walks up to somebody else's table, grabs his beer off of it, and just stands there guzzling this thing, right, while everybody's looking on in shock. So this is Santiago's notorious beer thief. Elite detectives examine empty mugs for clues while the city lives in fear, its mayor pleading for reinforcements. Citizens cower behind locked doors. Those who brave the night find llamas in bulletproof vests, stray dogs with police radios, roadblocks, ID checks, armed guards at restaurants. Who is he? When will he strike again? At the outdoor cafe, you only looked away for an instant. Then automatic weapons fire, smell of cordate, bearded man in dirty clothes, wiping his lips, running, dodging a fusillade of bullets. You stare open mouth, your glass empty. Ooh. Dutch postcards. Hair stuffed under a Rasta cap. Anne Frank smokes a bong and nods to the reggae beat, eyes staring unfocused. Her gaze lingers too long on me. She's there at Coffeehouse Resin, Barney's, The Free World, The Bulldog, Double Reggae, Popeyes, Kandinsky, The Doors, Abraxas, Gray Area, Easy Times, Relax, Picasso and the Other Side, examining buds under a magnifying glass and talking price with a man in black hat, Van Dyke and rough collar. She hands out samples of Gouda at cheese shops, nearly runs me over when I'm not watching for bicycles, and sings Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah in the square. Posing half naked behind a window in the red light district, she taps the glass to get my attention and rubs her belly when I turn. She follows me on the train to The Hague and points to postcards in a shop outside the station. I buy a dozen and address them to John Yoo, Dick Cheney, and other torture apologists at the International Criminal Court. Wish you were here. Here is backstage at the No Play. A shrill fruit drumbeat boom. Something primal. Duty's austere voice rises from deep in the belly, a belly that prefers a knife to dishonor. With bent knees and straight back, a lone dancer pivots and stomps, muscles tremble to hold tradition. In the background, a castle dungeon rises like a pelican of plaster and wood from sloping stone walls. Feudalism's ghost nods appreciation from the window. Mrs. Inoue's high school girls have already finished their chorus and carried off book bags of teddy bears and Tom Cruise dreams. Behind the curtain, no players clip cell phones to their belts instead of swords. The only duels they see are on TV. Women in costumes from the Tale of Genji discuss J-pop and U2's latest tour. Turn anywhere in Japan and find a contradiction. Old people nodding to a jazz fusion band at a Shinto shrine, a woman removing thigh-length platform boots to step onto grass mats. What a friend we have in Jesus drifts through the walls of a museum housing Buddhist statues. Uniformed teenagers gather at a baseball diamond 3 blocks from rice wine offerings and chants to the gods, hey, better, hey, better, swing. I turned for a final picture before hiking to a garden with a 400-year-old tea house, which is the real Japan. Could a stage exist without bamboo supports? Would the players gather without the stage? Holding his fan like a sword, the dancer turns, the shutter clicks. I leave the castle grounds and enter the 21st century. This is called Yates Isle at Trader Joe's. I will arise and go now and drive to Trader Joe's and shopping cart wheel there, all steel and plastic made. 14 aisles will I find there, full of shoppers, I suppose, looking for curry, vodka, marmalade. I'll sample tofu sausage beside the false wood mast, but careful must I park on pavement packed with SUVs, and I shall buy some pasta, for pasta boils up fast. Toppings, basil, pine nuts, grated cheese. I will arise and drive now. No time to cook, too much to do. Since on this poet's budget, it's hard to eat gourmet. I'll stand at the checkout, slide my bank card through, then take home a crate of $2 Chardonnay. So, you know, I kind of wondered, what Jungian psychologists would do if they wrote drug ads. And so this is called The Medicine You Need. Do you pierce your genitals with sea urchin spines and offer blood to the smoking mirror god? Have you ever married a buffalo, mistakenly killed your spouse with a hunting arrow, and used the body to fertilize a corn crop? In stressful situations, do you turn into a crow and fly to the land of the dead with a Yaqui Indian medicine man as your guide? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you may be suffering from archetype affective disorder, or AAD. AAD is a serious medical condition that causes fasting, vision quests, and loss of productivity. Though it has no cure, AAD can be treated with homuncula. Once they enter your bloodstream, the microscopic efficiency experts in homuncula settle in your brain's storytelling center and tell it to stop daydreaming and get back to work. Homuncula is not for everyone. People who are taking MAOIs should not take homuncula. Use of homuncula can irritate the smoking mirror god. Side effects include earth tremors, famine, and plagues of rabid armadillos. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver disease, or if you are allergic to goat semen, mandrake root, or menstrual blood. In rare cases, homuncula angers the demon wolf Fenrir and causes him to devour the sun. Don't spend the rest of your life daydreaming. Ask your doctor if homuncula is right for you. Earth opens, you plunge into the pit of absurdity and claw at uncaring obsidian walls in a futile attempt to break your fall. Who will help you now? Your lover stabs you in the heart with her IUD and then names you in a class action suit. Friends roll their eyes into their heads to gaze at the machismo Hollywood stamped on their craniums. Your father's advice falls asleep on the couch before the 10 o'clock news. Who will help you now? The old professor replays a taped lecture. The psychiatrist doodles on a prescription pad while you pay him $200 an hour. The minister motions you into a line of followers, getting crosses cauterized into their minds. Who will help you now? The CEO talks competition and teamwork while stuffing broken promises into a deposit envelope. The general delivers a rousing speech and smiles to reveal severed limbs caught in the gaps between his teeth. The politician straps logic to a chair, beats it with a baseball bat, and says it's for the nation's good. Who will help you now? Teenage girls practice pleas for new clothes. A career woman makes love to her cell phone. She arches her back and closes her eyes when you pass. Touts yell credit card offers from your mailbox. A piss-stained bum asks you for a quarter. Who will help you now? The Mexican waiter says, "How you doing, my friend?" Maybe that will be enough. The pizza, the crust, the yeast, the water, flour of hard northern wheat planted in fall, dormant in winter, the harvest, the milling, the sifting, the kneading, the tossing, the cornmeal, the sauce, the onions, the garlic, spices from the sunny Mediterranean, olive trees planted 40 years before the first harvest, the fruit, the pressing, the bottling of oil, tomatoes first grown by Incas on the slopes of the Andes, the toppings, the sausage, the mushroom, cheese, the milk, the rennet, the molding and pressing, the ripening, the oven, wood-fired masonry dome, able to hold its heat overnight, the peel, the stone, the labor, the farmer, the picker, the miller, the trucker, the grocer, the cook, the hostess, the waitress, the aroma, the texture, how the first bite delights the tongue, the pizza. This is the Bodhisattva gridlock, and it actually had a link at one time from the Kartak website. Noble Bodhichakra perfected the art of patience over tens of thousands of lifetimes at the I-5-805 merge. Despite SUVs the size of Mount McKinley blocking his view, blindsiders passing faster than the speed of sound in the right lane, and rubberneckers slowing traffic to the pace of maple syrup at absolute zero, Bodhichakra never laid on his horn or extended his middle finger. Thus he severed the trailer hitch of past karma, and the passing lane of nirvana opened before him. In the nanosecond before stomping the accelerator, he thought of those left behind in traffic. Sentient beings commute to earn money for car payments and make car payments so they can commute. Truly, they are trapped on the wheel of suffering. Pity moved on Bodhichakra's heart, and he pulled over into the breakdown lane. Let any sentient being trapped behind a slow-moving semi or prevented from merging into the exit lane call my name, and my compassion will become a wide road that smooths his path and steers him from danger. Just then, Indra parachuted from the Channel 10 traffic helicopter, placed his palms together and said, "Well done, Bodhichakra, well done. A great concourse of gods, dragons, yakshas, gandharvas, asuras, garudas, kinnaras, and maharagas, as well as thousands of bhikshus, bhikkhunis, upasakas, and upasikas, all in their hybrid vehicles, assembled and touched their foreheads to Bodhichakra's feet. The Bodhisattva's mystic power transformed the line of brake lights stretching to North County and back again into a rosary of precious rubies, each sliding through his fingers with the recitation of the sacred mantra, Om Mani Beni Om. All beings present then realized their broken down vehicles were in fact lotuses in the pure land, Sukhavati, where compassion has cleared all obstructions from the road to enlightenment. So how am I doing on time here, Chad? I see your lips moving. I can't hear a word you're saying. Well, Chad's trying to say something. I'll just read another poem. How's that?
Yeah, sorry about that. I thought.
I
Can you hear me
now.
now? Yeah, my speaker is connected to my mic is connected to my headphones. I just wanted to have you on speaker for a little bit, so I disconnected, not knowing you'd be asking. I'll say like three more.
This is called Speaking of Waves Apart from Water. And it starts with an epigraph from Shunryu Suzuki that says, "To speak of waves apart from water or water apart from waves is a delusion. Water and waves are one." A pelican skims a razor's width above the ocean near where I scattered your ashes years ago. Where are they now, Father? Did they feed the fish that will soon become the seabird's lunch? Did waves wash you onto Honshu's shore where sandpipers run on hyperactive legs through the foam? When I was a boy, your antenna towers stood like a thumb to the nose in our backyard. Your voice rode electromagnetic waves through the sky to radio operators around the globe. Even now, its ripples cross the void between the stars, light years from the nearest pond. Your radio doesn't fit into Suzuki's model of the calm, all-inclusive mind as water and disturbing thoughts as waves on its surface. Each time I slip under, my burning lungs force me gasping to the surface where white caps of resentment batter me and shove me up the beach. I catch my breath on a nearby bench. Soggy shorts itch against its weathered wood. I recall how I tried to tune you out, Father, after I learned in physics class that waves were actually particles. The fillings in my teeth picked you up anyway. Now I realize how little I know of water, waves, photons, and divine riddles, except sometimes how to swim across the current. Okay, where are we at with this one? Okay, boom. Steve Cowett, the late Steve Cowett was kind of the grand old man of San Diego poetry, and he died maybe 5 years ago, actually on April 1st. And anyway, so I have a PhD in physics, and I took it as kind of a challenge to write some poems about physics. The last one was one of them. And I was talking to Steve, and he's going, "Oh, how you going?" And I said, "Well, Steve, I'm writing these poems about physics, and I'm not really sure if they work or not, because, poetry and writing is about the senses, and I'm talking stuff about, about stuff that are kind of beyond your senses." And he said, "Well, send me the poems, and I'll see what I think of them." So I sent him the poems, and he wrote back, says, "Yeah, you're right, they don't work." So what I did, I wrote this. This poem called "Subatomic Poetry Workshop" to blow them some shit. So here it goes: Subatomic Poetry Workshop. After the muons and electrons critiqued each other's work, a strange quark presented a poem called "The Road Not Taken." "Stop right there," the teacher shouted before the quark finished the first stanza. "With all your abstractions, you lost the reader in the very first line. Road, woods, these take trillions of us acting in complex ways no one can visualize. And yellow, no one here has experienced yellow outside some textbook having something to do with sodium atoms. Ground your poems in images based on immediate experience. Clouds of probability, the momentum kick you feel when exchanging gluons, the wearying drag of the Higgs field, the collapse of a wave function, or the kiss of a virtual photon in the roiling vacuum." A studious muon raised her hand. Instead of calling it "the road not taken," how about "the quantum state not measured"? Now that's what readers respond to, the teacher said. How could we rewrite the opening lines? Two states existed in linear superposition, and sorry I could not measure both with result to arbitrary precision, as nature made a statistical decision, separating real from quantum ghost. And okay, while I'm here, let's read another physics poem. And this is called "The Parable of the Electron Sea." And it's kind of about, I don't know, canonical examples, or, like the cliches of physics. And it starts out with an epigraph from Muriel Rukeyser that says, "The universe is made of stories, not of atoms. Sing math, oh goddess of warped clocks, cannon shot falling past the earth and a universe empty, save for a spinning carousel. Sing of heroes, masters of Hilbert space and tensor transforms, all who battle the two-headed dragon of confusion and convention. Sing of plucked strings and radio waves, of fields tossing energy like a beanbag from one hand to another. Sing of rail cars and flash bulbs, clocks made of mirrors and light, and elevators and outer space. Sing the dice roll of microscopic billiard balls, ultraviolet catastrophe and a cat both alive and dead. Sing of Heisenberg's microscope, spooky action at a distance, an electron tripping over itself, and the coyote riding trickster, cutting space into infinite double slits. Sing the siren pitch of runaway galaxies, of universes as bubbles and a cosmic sea of beer. Sing of gravity ripping radiation from emptiness and the atoms of space-time itself. Sing of equations that yield nonsense, of pencils snapped in frustration, broken marriages, keyboards hurled at walls, and Ludwig Boltzmann dead by his own hand. Sing the will to go on. Well, thank you, everybody. And if you want more of me, I have another feature next week at Rick Lupert's Cobalt, and I'll post a link in the chat. And I also have several books for sale, and I'll put those in the chat too.
Yeah, great.
Please do that.
Wow.
Please do that.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you very much, John Wesick, and thank you to everyone who came to tonight. This was a fantastic evening of poetry, and I hope to have many more for the year 2021, be it virtual or face-to-face. I hope you can all be a part of it. John, if you do have a PayPal or a Patreon, or just links to the books that we can buy on online via Kindle or what have you.
Yeah.
Definitely post those in the next few minutes. Oh, I see them right here.
Yeah, there
Perfect.
they are. Instead of PayPaling me anything, my novel, The Enigma Broker, on Kindle is just $3. And if you want to support me, just buy a copy of that, and maybe that'll convince the publisher to help get more of my work out there. Thanks very much, everybody.
Absolutely, and thank you very much, John. And I wish I had an announcement to of who the next feature is. However, a funny story yesterday, my cord for my computer broke, and I was not able to get online. I wasn't able to secure a cord until like 9 o'clock last night. So that meant that because I had to go to work the next day, that Stone Soup would likely have been canceled unless I found a way to get in online. But even when I get the Zoom online, I'm under my work ID, and I'm not able to, I might not be able to sign in on my own. So a lot of iffy things happened. So I didn't want to make any announcements until I knew what was going on with my own shit. However, I hope I have at least two. I have two people I want to be on the feature list for the rest of the month, and hopefully that will happen. And last year, I think a lot of people actually gave me suggestions as to who to feature, and I'm going to be going back to those lists eventually and asking new people to come on. As I said, even with the 50th anniversary hopefully being live, we'll definitely do what we can to keep this going, keep the online format going in a way, no matter what. I hope you're all there for that, in whatever form Stone Soup takes. And I appreciate John and everybody else who has come on to really not just make this a wonderful open mic environment, but a wonderful forum for features who really know what to do with 25 extra minutes. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited for the future. Even though I'm afraid tomorrow there'll be a third impeachment, and then my Groundhog Day joke might go too far. For every Friday, I posted there was a guy there's an artist, D.L. Polanski, who posted a little banner saying Trump get impeached fast. And when he got impeached, it was TGIF, Trump get impeached fast. And I asked him, can you please do one that says Trump get impeached forever? and he would not do it. So I did it and created my own. You can go on my blog and see it, but every Friday. And now I'm just like, maybe that's not what I meant. You know, I do want an end eventually to this, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be very interesting. Check out Stone Soup. Post your own work on Stone Soup so we can share it with everyone. And although if you're just a person who posts on Facebook their poetry, that's okay. But I would like to see it published in another place. Why not try Oddball Magazine at oddballmagazine.com? Many people, as part of this open mic, has been published in this fine journal. And we are trying to take more timely material, and we are publishing COVID poetry until the pandemic is finally over. We published the pandemic poetry today, this Wednesday, and we'll have some stuff on Trump's hypothetical passing of the torch after he hopefully doesn't set the White House on fire. And we'll take it from there. So we are looking for work, and there's many other journals and such looking for work as well. I try and post calls for submissions as soon as I can, and check out one of the other open mics that are being advertised on Facebook, be it Stone Soup or anywhere else. And above all, have yourself an excellent night. Stay safe. Keep an eye out. Keep an ear out. I love all of you, and I am appreciative for your company and time. And thanks again. Another round of applause, virtual or otherwise, to John Wesick. And now is the time where we do what I like to call the virtual wave, where we wave goodbye to everyone for another week, and then we pause, hands in hand, hands in the air. So it looks easier. So it's easier for me to cut it, so it's not like a big blur whenever I do it. And with that, thank you all the newcomers. Thank you all the old comers, regulars. I hope to see you again, all again soon, if not all the same week at some point. And take care of yourselves. Or as I like to say, the show's over. We see you next time.
Thank you.